Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 353. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my sleepy co-host here, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, man? Nothing much. Nothing much. Just hanging out. I experienced one of those live orchestras this weekend. Watched Harry Potter: The Sorcerer's Stone with a live orchestra. I highly recommend it if you ever get the chance. I know they do it with Lord of the Rings all the time.
So they play the movie while they were doing the orchestra?
Yeah. So it was a big screen movie, and all the music's cut out, and some of the scenes, like the bass is dropped on the scene so you can hear the orchestra. But they did something really cool in the first movie. There's a scene where they find out that the three-headed dog Fluffy is like guarding a door, and someone enchants like a harp to play it so they can like put the dog to sleep, and they like removed that harp music from the movie and had just the harp player and the orchestra playing that part. Like, it was awesome.
That sounds really dope, actually.
Yeah, they did a lot of, and dude, you don't realize because it's John Williams music, but like even like the subtle moments in the movies, like where the music's like in the background, because there's parts where they pause where there's no music in the movies, but like even the subtle parts, you're watching the violinist's hands, and they're just going like doing crazy scales, like, and it just does that like subtle, like, you don't, if you like go back and you listen to Harry Potter, it has like this in the background, and it's just like the violin's going crazy, and I'm like, man, like they need to ice their hands after that or something. Like, that's crazy.
Orchestra musicians in movies,
Mm-hmm.
they are to movies what colorists are to comics.
Yeah, not appreciated.
Not appreciated enough,
Yeah.
but like they make everything.
Oh yeah. It's so good. So it was a cool experience. Before we get into anything else, we do have an interview today. Our friends from Ahoy will be here. Ahoy Comics, Tom Pear, Stuart Moore coming back. Going to talk about some stuff, what's going on with Ahoy. So happy to have them back or returning.
So stoked for that one.
Yeah. Love those guys. But yeah, it was a good time. Didn't read a lot of comics, but that was worth it to go see that. I am excited to talk about Delicious in Dungeon because you got me onto that, and that's right up my alley. That it's such a great show. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it was pretty great.
Did you catch up to episode 3?
I finished episode 2.
Okay.
I have not caught up to episode 3.
Okay.
No.
When we get to that, we'll talk more. But yeah. That show is so much fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Other than that, I still haven't organized my comics. They're still out and about. Got to start working on that a little more.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that done this week. Actually, you said you didn't read that much. I was gonna make the joke that I pulled a mic this week, and I didn't read that much either.
Dude, it's tough because I was traveling for work, and usually if I can leave like before the comics come out, I can like just have them downloaded on my tablet and like be ready. But like all the running around I do in between, and I left on a Tuesday, came back on a Thursday, so I was just like, it didn't work out.
Well, it's so this week's been really busy, but I literally didn't grab my comics until yesterday as we're recording this.
Yeah.
But so something I always kind of laughed at, like before I started working out and everything, where people would tell you like, "Oh, you have so much more energy afterwards" and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure. You break your body and you feel better and have more energy.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'd rather be fat, and
Yeah.
But it's true.
What?
And
really?
Wednesday, not only did I work late, but then I went and gave blood, which I try to do every so often because I have that O positive. I have that good shit.
Yeah, he's got the good.
Yeah.
That everybody wants.
So not only can you not work out when you do that,
because
you're supposed to like chill.
Yeah.
But literally they drain you of blood, Mike. So that afternoon, I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
That I got home and fell asleep on my couch, which I don't do.
Yep.
And then the next day, which is normally my rest day, and to keep my schedule going, I kept it my rest day. I just fell out of it all day.
Yeah.
and then had to work late.
You're missing a liter of blood. You're like,
yeah, missing a liter of blood, and I didn't work out, so my energy was gone.
Yeah, low energy. Well, hopefully you're getting that hemoglobin back or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all back now. I just got my track marks all over my arm.
There you go. Snapping bands after work.
I was telling everybody how much heroin I did.
Yeah, lovely. They're like, wow, you're surprisingly upbeat for someone who's addicted to that shit.
Just a little bit.
Did you know Chris was a tweaker? Sometimes I wonder if comics are worse than drugs, but here we are. That was always the running joke at the comic shop, was like people come in fiending, like, I need my Batman issue, man. I need to know what happens.
I've heard it for comics, and I've heard it when I was in the Magic scene, which you were in, which is I don't have money for drugs, I buy comic books, or I don't have money for drugs, I buy Magic cards.
I had a conversation with like some guys I was playing Magic with at the shop, and I was like, I come from a family like everybody loves to go to the casino, and I was like, that's not me. I just and then I was like, I just like to buy cards, open the packs, and hope for the best. I'm like, I guess I'm playing the slots too. I just never realized it. I had that realization in front of them, and they're like, oh man. I was like, oh shit.
Oh dude, one of the gifts I won at this company party was a scratch off.
Yeah.
And it was a $2 scratch off, right?
Yeah.
And I won $2, and I was so excited. I was like, I actually won.
Dude, that's me. If I walk in a casino, I win $20. I'm like, I'm ahead. I'm out.
Yep, I'm out.
Yeah, I'll see you later. Let's talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick before I jump into it, I want to talk about this. I started playing this game. I only played it for a little bit, to be fair, but started playing this game. Have you heard of Pal World?
So I just came back into society today and was reading up on Pal World, which currently has more players than any game on Steam right now. It's over 1 million current players, like more than CSGO, which is insane. But yeah, break it down for me, because I'm not really so sure that I still understand what it is.
So this is definitely going to be a PC centric game, but since I don't do PC games, I'm playing on an Xbox.
Is it cross-platform?
I believe so.
Okay, look that up while you're talking.
So, but I just think when I explain the style of game, you'll understand why I say it's going to be a PC centric game.
Oh yeah.
So it's been described as Pokemon with guns. So obviously I'm in.
Yep.
As I'm playing it, the better description is Rust with Pokemon.
Right.
Did you ever play Rust?
I never played Rust. I played a game called Valheim, which is very similar. I think it's like survival. You're like out and you're like building stuff, right?
Yeah. So it looks like Fortnite.
Okay.
And plays like Rust or Valheim. I never played Valheim, but I'm going to take your word on it.
Yeah.
And then there's just like basically Pokemon running around, and you can capture them.
You can like choose to capture them, right?
Yes, or you can just annihilate them. Like, I don't have a gun yet in the game, which is probably one of the reasons I'm just like not as into it as I could be.
Yep.
But I do have an axe, and I'm just like axing motherfuckers left and right.
I don't choose you. Goodbye. Yeah,
but it's that style of like, and like Minecraft has done it. Like it's been popular recently,
right?
Where like you start off with nothing, you have to like go grab a few things, and then you make an axe, and then you can chop down wood. And,
like a sandbox game, I think they call that, right? Like Terraria,
or survival game. I've heard it that way.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I haven't got far enough to have like an actual opinion of it.
So
it's also in early access.
Yep.
So
it's very positive with like 32,000 reviews right now.
Yeah.
I will say, from what I've seen too, and people talking about it, like it's like you can have the Pokemon, you can choose to fight with the Pokemon, or you can have them like run your farm. So people are like running farms like Factorio, which is like you're making assembly lines of the Pokemon, and like you can have your own base. And I'm like, that's insane. But I did see someone running around with like a machine gun, and like the Pokemon holding machine guns, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
So I got far enough where like you start building a base.
Yeah.
And you can have them because there's a checklist of things they tell you to do, and it's like it's very early access, and like the UI is not great.
Yep.
And they give you the checklist, and one of them is like, catch this this pal is what they called them, and then bring him to the base, and he'll guard the base for you, and you'll just see him running around. And the base is very much like, this is the center of the base. You build this thing, and then there's just a giant like orb around your area, and as you build more, it kind of expands.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I just have it set for single player because I don't like people, so I don't need them running around fucking my shit up.
Yeah,
but you can set up like you and a bunch of our friends could just like have a server together if you want, and you can set up so people can just join your server if you want.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting stuff there. I think it'd be more fun if like multiple people were in a server together and we were like running around like being idiots.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm thinking about buying it tonight because I did see that somebody ran it. Somebody ran it on the Steam Deck, which I have, and I like always have to check like with games now if like, okay, is it worth it for me to buy it if it's on the Steam Deck? Like, yeah, okay, then I'm gonna buy it. Because I'm like, I usually play that more than my PC now. Because I'm like, I could lay on the couch with my Steam Deck. But I've thought about like just starting a character on a server and then like inviting people when they like eventually get the game. Because I feel like this is going to be a game a lot of people are into.
Yeah, I'm just playing it alone for now to learn it. Because I kind of hate these types of games where you get it and then you get into a server and everybody else knows what they're doing. And they're like, oh, we're doing this. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, how do I get my axe out?
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, interesting game.
Yeah, and but I do like the idea of like the Pokemon games where the people are building upon it with like indie developers and like changing things, making them better and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. There's because it's been talked about in the Pokemon community for a while. Like, there's this renaissance of like people taking the idea and finally building on it. Where like nobody was doing anything with that idea, with the exception of Digimon, which was doing it poorly.
Yeah.
And now a bunch of these smaller developers are trying it, and I'm really loving it. Like, Pokemon will always be in my heart, but I kind of don't like the direction Pokemon's going. I thought the last game was okay. I mean, they kind of half-assed what we always wanted, is basically how I put it.
Right.
But now we got like I'm really digging Cassette Beasts, and Temtem was a lot of fun. I was into that for a while.
I never played that, but yep.
Nexomon was really good. If you want just like a story-based RPG, that's good. So there's a bunch out there now, and I'm really happy because it's a great formula, and it was really weird that just nobody was trying it.
Yeah, I think it's great that they're doing stuff with it now. So. All right, we'll talk about the news, I guess. James Gunn's new DC Cinematic Entertainment Universe has added another actor of the Creature Commandos animated series. Anya Chalotra, best known for playing Yennefer in the Witcher series, will voice Circle. Circle is a character who flipped from a villain to hero many times in DC Comics, has strong ties to Wonder Woman. That's awesome. I think she's a great actress. She killed it in the Witcher series for sure. Across from Henry Cavill. I think her story arc was very interesting in the show too. So that's awesome. And we know, I mean, we've already heard that these characters are going to be pushed into the live action as well. So eventually.
Yeah. So this says to me, because remember, so her origin, like real world origin in terms of the character, like how the character created, comes from Homer's Odyssey. And it's been a long time since I read Homer's Odyssey, Mike. So forgive me that I don't remember all of it. But it comes from that and like Greek mythology, and that's the connection to Wonder Woman. And her first appearance was, I think, Wonder Woman 37. I was reading this earlier. But that says that there's big Wonder Woman connections, which makes me happy because I would like to see like that first Wonder Woman movie, with the exception of the fact the ending kind of negated everything, but was really good. And I want to see that character brought into the cinematic universe and done really well. So, and especially if they really hone in on the mythology, the Greek mythology part of her backstory, like that'd be cool. So, you
mean Cersei? It's Cersei, right? Yeah.
Did I write it wrong? I must have.
Yeah, not Circle. So Circle. Sorry everybody. Circle is actually a comic book series that I was confused because what you said about Wonder Woman is true, because there's a comic series called The Circle. It was like a 4-issue series written by Gail Simone, but this is Cersei. So yeah, there is the Greek ties to mythology, which makes a lot more sense because she's like a queen. And I don't know much more besides that, but I think Cersei is another character kind of like Yennefer, where she's very imposing and has a lot of power, and like is going to be probably a staple within the group. So picking an actress like her who's been doing such a great job, I think, is a good idea.
Yeah, and then she obviously won't age, being a god of some sort. So
yeah,
you don't have to worry about. You can just model the animated character after the actress, and then there you go,
and then you're good to go.
I must have I must have misheard you, because I was reading about it earlier and I put down Cersei.
Yeah,
and
but then I'm an idiot because I read straight from the notes that say circle. So like we both fucked up here, everybody. So it's just
autocorrect strikes again.
Yeah. Google Docs is like, you wanted circle, not Cersei. You don't want to talk about mythology. You just want to talk about shapes. That's all. We don't have the knowledge to talk about anything other than circles and squares.
The AI strikes again.
But no, I think it's a great character to bring in. I like the ties to the gods and stuff like that. And I just want to see Superman already.
I think it's also just Marvel did Thor. Marvel has claimed Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Now I know DC has tried Norse mythology a few times and done it successfully in some ways. So since Marvel's claimed that, jump in on Greek mythology before they got a chance. I mean, I know everybody's gonna say, the last Thor movie had all the gods in it and everything, but like, in all honesty, you can really claim Greek mythology in the DC extended universe.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, they already had Ares, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Started watching Delicious in Dungeon first couple episodes. Absolutely love it. Probably one of my favorite animes, because it, like you said, combines D&D and like cooking and the whole Japanese like tone of like really focusing on the food and the flavors and how to cook things. I think it's awesome. Plus like the D&D shit of like, okay, how far down in the dungeon do we go? And like and like they list the monsters that they'll see, and like the types of like even like the people that they interact with. It's just awesome. It's just and it's like and the like head of the group is like a joke, so I think that's funny too. No, I'm really enjoying the show. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, in episode 3 they jump into like the idea of resurrection a lot. I know they mentioned it a few times in previous episodes, but this is like the lead guy talks about the first time using the dungeon and like how he got his sword and all this, and then like just casually is like, yeah, it's the first time I died.
Yeah. They mentioned that a couple times in the first episode. They're like, oh, I don't know if they've like been revived or something like that. And it was like, oh, so this is kind of like D&D.
Well, yeah, because the whole premise of the show is like go back in the dungeon and get her body.
Yeah.
So that we can resurrect it.
Yeah.
And then the big thing here, so he gets his sword and everything by fighting living armor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the whole episode revolves around living armor, and it's really funny because the main character, like, he's had this secret obsession the whole time with, I just want to eat everything in the dungeon.
Yeah.
And it really comes to a point here where he's like, I wonder what living armor tastes like. And everybody in the group, even the dwarf, is just like, bro, it's just like magical armor. Like,
yeah, it's just like the dwarf is such an awesome character.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious. Yeah, because he does say that, like, oh, there's living armor here, and it's like, dude, it's just gonna be metal.
So it's a great battle scene with them like fighting living armor, and then like the different, whenever they like break it apart, it just like forms back together. And they're convinced that like some sort of magical being is controlling it. So then the idea becomes, well, it's this magical creature and we can eat the creature, right?
Yeah.
And then he ends up in this other room where he thinks the creature is, and he just finds like a more majestic magic or living armor.
That's awesome.
And that's when he discovers that living armor is a creature.
Oh, man.
And inside it is this like shellfish like creature that forms together and creates basically like muscles.
That's amazing.
And that's how they, so he is able to eat living armor at the end.
Oh my god.
So they basically create different recipes with shellfish.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's love this episode. Like the show is a blast.
It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. I just got volume 2 coming in the mail now because I'm like really in the mood for this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the show. I love the manga. I'm really excited for everything.
Yeah. I finished Monarch Legacy of Monsters episode 10. So honestly, the best way to watch this show is all 10 episodes like back to back. I really enjoyed it. I know there's some people online that I've like followed some Godzilla fan bases that are like take it or leave it, but I mean I think it gives you some cool insight into like the legendary universe of monsters. We find out that monsters travel through these portals in the ground, and like part towards the end of the show, the characters get transported in the portals. And we find out like Kurt Russell is supposed to be 90 years old, but he's really like 60 to 70 because he fell in the portal, and like you could be stuck in the portal in the other world for 1 to 2 days, but it like, makes time pass on Earth like 30 or 40 years. So there's a lot of characters dealing with that stuff. There's a lot of character reveals, but the big reveal was like a bunch of characters are trapped in the other world, and to like get back to Earth, they have to call a kaiju like through the portal for it to open up so they can transport through. So they're like calling a kaiju, and they get Godzilla to come through the portal, but also the kaijus are like attracted to the device they're using. So like we get this, I believe it's Batra. It's like a version, like a version of Batra that shows up, which is like a giant bat kaiju, and Godzilla,
the one that fights Batman in the comic.
Yeah, hell yeah, and like him and Godzilla fight like it like for I don't know, it's not that long of a fight, but it's like epic of like him and Godzilla just like duking it out. And he like fucking rips his wings off and stuff, and it was epic and totally worth it. And then like by the end, you find out that Monarch isn't so bad, but like spinning out of Monarch is Apex that we learn about that in the King of Monsters movie. They're the ones working on the Mecha Godzilla program, but they're also like the show ends with like it's 2015 now, I think, and which it might be, I think we're in like the current timeline for the monster movies now, but they're on Skull Island, and then like King Kong shows up like in the woods. So they have Apex has a base like on Skull Island, and like King Kong is around. So they're going to do something with King Kong. I think that kind of takes place like when because one of the movies Godzilla versus Kong, they like trap him. So it has to take place around then sometime. But it was a cool overall season.
So do you think this is a one and done? Like there won't be a second season, or
it might be? Also, to note, one of the co-creators and writers of the script is I can't think of his name. Had the really good Hawkeye run, Matt Fraction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, Matt Fraction is one of the co-writers, like creators of the show. Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, so I was like, that's why I kind of stuck with the show. I'm like, this is gonna have a good payoff. I feel like he's gonna handle the show fairly well, and no, I thought he did a great job. Yeah, his name is like at the front of every episode. So,
oh, cool. That gets me a little more excited. I'll definitely be jumping into this soon.
Yeah, it's really good. Definitely worth a watch. But Skybound has announced their next Universal Monster comic will be Creature from the Black Lagoon. It'll be a 4-issue series that acts as a sequel to the original movie, much like the Dracula comic Skybound is publishing. It will be written by Dan Water and Ram V. With art by Matthew Roberts. Okay, if Ram V is involved, I might have to check it out.
That's really so cool. I'm reading the Dracula one, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's the Department of Truth team with Tinian. I forget the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little bit of a disappointment for me because love Dracula, love vampires.
Yeah.
I've never seen Creature from Black Lagoon. Have you?
I have not. No, I've not.
So yeah, I almost want to watch it just to see, but I've always loved like the character design for him.
yeah, he's just an ugly bastard.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a horror. I mean, Swamp Thing is a horror Swamp Thing, but like,
yeah,
you remember the Swamp Thing TV show they did, like fairly recently?
Yes. Yep.
I feel like that's Creature from the Black Lagoon inspired.
For sure.
Like it just gives me vibes of this horror creature in the swamp. Yeah, like I don't know. I'm kind of meandering, but I think this is cool, and I will probably check it out. Yeah.
And Dave Stewart is on it too, which is great.
Yeah, doing them colors.
Yeah. Dave Stewart, Matthew Roberts. No, it looks cool. I'm a big Ram V fan from doing the Swamp Thing book, so I'll probably check it out, even if I don't watch the movie.
Yeah. Everybody forgive Mike for recording from a construction site. So
yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It happens.
Yeah. Last week we discussed the end of the current TMNT comic series, and now we have more info as to what's coming next. Report initially made it seem as though the current continuity is being scrapped for a new beginning, but it seems now that they're going to relaunch the brand with a new #1 and continue in the current continuity. There is a new writer at the helm of the world, and that is none other than Jason Aaron. Oh my God, Chris!
I thought people were fucking with me when this news came out.
Yeah, Chris is a Turtles fan now. Everybody, huge. Yeah,
there was every issue. Yeah. I think I was on edge last week. Like, I'll probably check out the new Turtles. I don't know. I can say definitively, like, I'm checking out the new Turtles now. Like,
that's crazy. he just controls the universe now of the Turtles to Jason Aaron.
I said this at the time, but when he gave up his Marvel exclusive contract and finished his run, and he moved over to DC, I said part of me was sad because Jason Aaron's this great Marvel writer. I've really loved him over there for a long time, but I get it creatively. Now I really get it. He wasn't going to just go over to DC and just do DC.
No, he's controlling this.
I think he's probably, I don't want to say he's made his money because it's tough in this business to make your money, but he's probably just comfortable and like decided I can do some DC stuff and have some fun over there. And I can just see what else is out there. And somebody probably was like, listen, we're trying to relaunch the Turtles. And he's like, fuck yes.
I'll do the universe. Why not?
Yeah, I'm all over that. So this went from I'll check it out to I'm legit excited for a new Turtles book. I can't wait to see who they get to do art. And I mean, it's IDW's 25th anniversary this year. They're going hard on a lot of stuff. They're really excited to keep this license. This book's coming out with like 50 variant covers. Like they're just gonna go to town on this thing.
And there's gonna be like 1,000 covers. I'll probably even pick it up because I'm turning into a Jason Aaron fan now after I read Action Comics. We'll talk about that, but this is super hype. This is great news.
And to anyone out there that doesn't know Jason Aaron, like first, I just think check out his work. He's done so much great stuff. His Thor run is really what propelled him to like stardom. But his story, man, like he's one of the only guys in comics to come out of the Marvel talent search. Like he was just some dude that applied online to this Marvel talent search and then just got to write Wolverine.
Yeah, it's wild. It's insane.
And from what I can tell, he seems like a cool dude and everything. So I'm so excited for this now. Like, meandering, but fucking Turtles are on my radar, man.
Yep. Chris has got another book he's got to subscribe to.
Wow. Mike, we get review copies from IDW. So
yes, we do. You don't have to subscribe. Sick. I'm going to read every issue now. Speaking of reading every issues, I was catching up on some stuff from last week, so we could talk a little bit about that. I read Action Comics 1061. I'm going to be reading Action Comics moving forward now. That's the issue that Jason Aaron took over. Huge fan of what he did with Bizarro, that issue. Some crazy stuff going on. between like a bizarro multiverse, right? So I'm really looking forward to see more of that. I thought he did a great job with his first issue.
Yeah, ton of fun on that issue.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
If I like Bizarro, you know you did a good job.
Yeah. I read Outsiders, I believe it was issue 3, right?
Yep.
That was a great issue, like you said. The multiverse minds of Batman were a lot of fun. I'm liking this series a lot, so I'd like to, talk to Lansing and Kelly about this. Talk to him about that. Wesley Dodds Sandman, I think it was issue 4.
Was indeed.
Yeah, did you read that one?
Yep.
Yeah, solid issue. I'm interested to see where this book ends up, like how it's going to end. I don't really see like an end point for it. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to end in a couple issues or?
I agree. So first I want to say, because I was critical of like doing an evil Sandman, because I'm fairly critical of just doing that in general.
Right.
I like the way they twisted it. Mm-hmm. Like this guy just used that disguise to get the stuff, and that's really, he wasn't actually an evil Sandman.
Yeah, right. He was just wanted the stuff.
Yeah. I'm interested in the ending. Like, like Wesley's just gonna fight the U.S. government now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, they have my. Yeah, he's like, they have my plans, and they're gonna use them. I have to like, what are you gonna do, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well you know me, Mike, but that might be a story arc that I could get into.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say the art for this issue was fantastic.
Oh, the art throughout the series has been fantastic.
Yeah, this had a lot of splash pages with like him breathing in the smoke and stuff, and like, yeah, it was just
him. Well, real quick, bring me back to that, but I'm with you. Like, we have 2 more issues to fight the U.S. government. Like, it's going to be a tough kind of wrap up here, but Venditti can do it. Like, I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
That sequence where he's in the dream gas, was so well done.
It was insane. Yeah,
when he's like reliving all of his, like, it's something that I hope we all do, or else I'm really weird. But where like something pops in your head, like some stupid thing you did like 4 years ago, and you're like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes through that in one moment, and I could feel that emotion as I'm going through those panels. It's great.
It was amazing. And then the last book I was catching up on, I haven't finished the issue yet, but I'm like halfway through. I really like it. Is Ultimate Spider-Man #1. So I was really enjoying that. Yeah, I like they catch you up with the maker crap beforehand, like what you've been catching me up on. But I do like the older Peter Parker, because I've only gotten to that part of it where you're like learning about the character, and I think I'm gonna like this book. I think it feels like a Hickman book. You take the Spider-Man out of it, and it just feels like a Hickman like written book.
And you can see the building blocks. And I can't remember if I said it last week or not, but like to me, it feels like the ultimate what if book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why it appealed. I mean, among just the whole him dealing with being in his 30s, which we're both dealing with.
Yep.
Yeah. Like,
no, I thought it's really cool. It's a really interesting concept. Yeah. So I'll probably stick with it. Yeah. Now I'm reading Action Comics and Ultimate Spider-Man. It's like, damn. All right. But yeah, that's all I really had. I was catching up on some stuff from last week. I'll probably catch up on everything this week for sure.
Yeah, I'm catching up on a lot. This is way old, but I wanted to bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
But Star Wars Dark Droids #5. I think this is like last month it came out. Yeah. But this is the end of like the whole Dark Droid saga. I just caught up on all of it, and I just want to say, like, the whole Dark Droid saga was a blast.
Cool.
And they leave it a little bit open. I think Charles Soule has another event in his mind for Star Wars, and all of his events have kind of connected in some way, kind of like what DC is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been a lot of fun. So yeah, Dark Droids is good. The only problem with it is I think it read really well in issues if you're reading Star Wars stuff. I don't think this is going to be a good trade, like graphic novel read, because there's a lot of stuff that, like, if you didn't read D Squad, you're gonna be confused why these guys came in, and if you're not reading Star Wars, you're gonna be confused like why is Lobot like this and all that this kind of stuff. But I enjoyed it. So
awesome.
Quick Stops, Volume 2, Number 2.
Oh, nice.
So we continue the whole like origin of the movies thing, and I think I said last time like we went full Kevin Smith on this, where it's just an entire book about like orgies and sex. And the first half of this issue continues that trend. While like you see kind of the lead character's descent as she's about to get screwed over. Like it's the ultimate like creator story. Kev's telling basically the story of Superman here. Like they create it, they're kind of on top of the world, they're having fun building this thing, and at the last minute someone comes in with a contract and basically fucks him over. And that's what happens here. But there's a twist in it that it's like her husband doing it to her in this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. It's a good time.
Nice.
Then we talked about those. All right, this week the only 2 books I got to was Justice League versus Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, nice.
Which is so much fun, Mike. Like we get more into what's going on. Like the heroes have a plan, the villains have a plan. So they're gonna try to do something. We're building up to a big fight here, and we get more of Green Arrow on Skull Island or Monster Island, whatever island he's on, and what he's doing. We find out the League of Assassins are there, and he has a big fight with them. And then like Lex Luthor's building something, so I'm wondering if like Lex is building a Mecha Godzilla of some sort.
Oh, please.
Yeah, like they hint pretty hard that's what it is. So
that'd be amazing.
And then there's this underwater kaiju that comes and attacks Atlantis. So Aquaman asks for help. So it's a very Aquaman-centric issue as well.
Nice.
And the Justice League comes down there and helps him. They end up fighting it, and then Godzilla shows up, and Godzilla fights it. And the fight is starting to hurt the dome around Atlantis. So Arthur's getting really concerned. So they bring out the last line of defense for Atlantis. And they unleash the Kraken.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome issue.
That's
just an awesome issue.
Yeah.
And you get underwater Godzilla fight, which we don't see a ton of.
You don't see a lot of that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And then, of course, I read Avengers Twilight #1.
Of course you had to. Of course.
So I knew the premise of this book. I knew it was Cap-centric. After the first issue, I think the elevator pitch for this is Captain America's Dark Knight Returns.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're in the future. Like the old heroes are all old men at this point. Steve has given up the super soldier serum because of some event that happened that they're referring to as H-Day.
Okay.
And we get glimpses of H-Day, like Spider-Man died. Somehow Ultron's involved. Boston was massacred during it. And throughout that, like after that happened, like Cap gave up being Cap. He gave up the serum from his body. He ran for the Senate at one point. Luke Cage plays a big role in this. We get to see Daredevil for a second. Murdoch is back to being a lawyer. And then what's interesting here is H-Day kind of created a fascist state, and that there's surveillance everywhere. Think V for Vendetta, you know, like surveillance everywhere. There's a curfew. There's cops on the street, but they're in like Iron Man-esque armor. We find out that Tony Stark and the Wasp had a kid together, and he's also a part of this fascist state. He creates all the armor, and like at one point he has to go create something, and he goes to the secret room, and we just see like a Futurama-esque head in a bottle.
Oh, okay.
And it's Tony Stark, and he just like lifts up this thing that was kind of like Cerebro, and just like, "Hey, Dad," and it cuts away.
What the hell?
So there's a lot of things happening here, and at the end we find out there's this resistance group that is run by Luke Cage, and they have recreated the super soldier serum, and Steve volunteers to take it again because he realized things have gone too far.
Yeah, of course.
Like the book even opens up with Steve talking to himself about like it's him waking up and him giving kind of soliloquy of like, I'm old now and things are tougher. It's not quite the like as good as the "this would be a good death" speech, but it's up there. It lived up to the hype, man. It's so good.
Nice. That's awesome.
I absolutely loved it. There's a lot of cool like things throughout it. I could go on and on. Like the thing that gets Steve back into the fray is that there's this news network. It's FNN and it's channel 4. And they have a documentary series coming out that claims that the Red Skull was actually fighting against Hitler the whole time, and he's really a hero. And that's what pisses Steve off. He's like, "Fuck these guys."
That's amazing.
And then Chip in the writing takes some liberties with the world. Like it's obviously not our world; it's a parallel one because like soldiers before H-Day still had a secret identity, so they weren't out in the open. And it wasn't until after that they were forced and all this. So, yeah, if you're a Marvel Avengers fan, especially a Cap fan, this first issue is awesome. So
nice,
check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mike, that was everything I had. So where could people find you on the internet?
You could find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter/X. Where can they find you and or the show? You
can find me on Twitter and most social media networks at Fortress Chris. And you can find the show on Twitter at FortressComics_, also at FortressComicNews.com. And remember, everybody, best ways to support the show, 5-star reviews in the podcatchers, whether it be Spotify, Apple, iTunes, or is it Apple Podcasts now? I forget.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Or on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, share, comment down below. And then there's patreon.com/FortressComics. Thank you all so much for listening and watching this week. We'll see you here next week.
See ya.